Reducing workplace bias. The reactance bias is the impulsive tendency to do the opposite of what is asked, simply to assert your freedom to do what you want. Impulsive behavior can lead to all sorts of trouble, not the least of which is the destruction of relationships, not to mention self-esteem, as well as dealing with the fallout of ill-considered actions. The lesson and meditation not only increase awareness, but meditation in general improves conscious control, making it less likely that you will act impulsively. Emotion is the key to cognitive bias, and in so many ways the reactance bias is a perfect example of how we can let our emotions influence our thinking and behavior. We have to ensure that our emotions, and especially our initial reactions to events, don't distort our perception, subsequent thoughts, and actions. As you might expect, reactance refers to thinking impulsively and reacting rather than responding. Biases tend to feed off each other. If you overreact to someone, then there's a good chance you will feel the need to justify your behavior and to revise your perception and even apologize, potentially making the effects of impulsive behavior even more damaging. Someone asks you to do something or act in a particular way. Your emotional response is anger, manifested in one or more of these thoughts. Who are you to tell me what to do? Oh, so you disapprove of my behavior. Oh, as if you don't do the same thing, you hypocrite. The anger thus generated will likely encourage you to do the complete opposite of what was asked of you. You will justify this on the grounds of your independence, of not wanting to comply with a hypocrite, and a total dismissal of any suggestion that your behavior needs managing in some way. So if your sibling asks you to moderate your drinking at a family event, driven by your anger, you quickly get drunk and act obnoxiously. You might feel good about your independence, but you have also totally justified your sibling's request. Emotion has driven your thought and behavior. Reactance is very similar to the defense mechanisms of acting out and regression, where one resorts to childish behavior. Part of the issue for children is that they haven't developed their rational skills, and the prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain that guides decision-making and emotional control, isn't fully developed until the mid-20s. However, if you are past the age of 25, you don't have that excuse. This is what happens when you are driven by emotion that distorts your thinking. It's a great example of why we need to take pause, breathe, and step away from the emotion so you can actually think more clearly than simply reacting emotionally. You need to cool down and seriously think it through without being driven by emotion. Unfortunately, many people have not learned this skill, and you can imagine the sort of impact it has on relationships, not just because of the event itself, but also the subsequent rationalizations used to justify the behavior. This is why mindfulness and meditation practices are so important. When well practiced, over time they will help you manage your emotions. They will help you observe your feelings in a much more dispassionate way, so that they don't control your thinking and you. As with all these biases, it's not the first thought that matters. The first thought is likely to be infused with emotion that distorts your perception. What really matters is your ability to recognize the feeling, to observe it, and distance yourself from it. You do that with your second and subsequent thoughts, when you can view the situation from a position of rationality, not emotion. The reactance bias is likely to lead you to being impulsive and acting and thinking in a way that you will later regret. Unfortunately, the danger is that this tendency will be compounded by other biases that will convince you that you are right and other people are wrong. Meditation. Here are 3 valuable quotes. Sometimes it's a good idea to think about what you want from a situation and try to get it, rather than just blurt out the first thing that comes into your head. Emily Lockhart. Before you make a decision, ask yourself this question: will you regret the results or rejoice in them? Rob Liano. It would be a sin to help you destroy yourself. Leo Tolstoy. A key value of meditation is that by training your brain to relax, you can get much better emotional control and, as a result, minimize or eliminate impulsive behavior. As you get into a deep state of relaxation, feel the power you have. The power not to be controlled by your first and often primitive emotions. Focus on how good it feels to be calm. Focus on how empowered you are when you are centered and in control. Feel the calm and the control. Focus on your ability to manage your emotion. Focus on how now you are in a much better position to think about what you want from a situation, rather than blurt out the first thing that comes into your head. Think about the situation, rather than blurt out the first thing that comes into your head. Recall a situation where someone lost it, overreacted, and acted out. How did it make you feel? How did others feel about the reaction? What happened to the person who acted out? Did he or she make amends? Did they say they were sorry? How did others relate to them after this incident? A reactance mindset can result in lost friends, embarrassment, and isolation. A reactance mindset can result in lost friends, embarrassment, and isolation. By contrast, focus on your sense of calm and peace. As you focus on your sense of calm and control, recognize that you are now in a position to think clearly about your behavior and evaluate the results of any actions. You are now in a position to ask yourself the question: will I regret the results or rejoice in them? Will I regret the results or will I rejoice in them? Will I regret the results or will I rejoice in them? Understand that emotions, like anger, are important warning signs, but they should not control your thoughts or your behavior. You want to respond with a well-considered and rational response, not react to an emotional feeling. You want to respond with a well-considered and rational response, not react to an emotional feeling. Will I regret the results or will I rejoice in them? Will I regret the results or will I rejoice in them? Realize that impulsive reactions and a reactance bias can really damage you. You will have to work even harder to repair any damage to your status, self-perception, and the views of others if you persist in thinking emotional reaction is better than rational response. It will be a sin to help destroy yourself. Maintain control. Keep your dignity and self-respect. Behave rationally and consider the consequences of your thinking and your behavior. It will be a sin to help destroy yourself. It will be a sin to help destroy yourself. Maintain control and keep your dignity and self-respect. Reducing workplace bias.